The main character dies as a result of a car accident and is reborn in another world in the form of a reasonable sword. Since he can use telekinesis, he flies and learns skills, and kills monsters. He decides to become the most powerful sword in the world, waiting for its intended owner. In the caravan of slavers, a black cat named Fran is like a slave, but dreams of evolving. One day, after acquiring numerous skills and great abilities of a warrior, the sword is flying through the forest, where touching the ground depletes its mana to 0. Unable to fly, he has been trapped for months. The people to whom Fran belongs are attacked by a two-headed bear. Seeing her fellow slaves being killed, she desperately wants to help and notices a sword nearby. By touching the handle, he can communicate with it using telepathy and fly again. He shares all his skills with her, turning her into an invincible warrior who wields it to easily kill the monster. The slaver demands that Fran give him the sword, and begins to beat her. The enraged sword kills him and breaks Fran's slave contract, freeing her. He asks Fran to become his owner, and she agrees, because her goal is to evolve, which no black cat has ever managed before. Seeing him as his teacher, Fran calls him a master. The master decides to dedicate his new life to ensuring the safety of Fran. Fran rescues an adventurer named Randall from a goblin ambush. The master keeps his consciousness a secret and talks to Fran only with the help of telepathy. In the city of Alessa, in the Adventurers Guild, the administrator, Nell, informs Fran that she must pass the battle exam, and the examiner is Donadrand, a powerful Oni. Fran and the master combine their sword skills with magic, which, according to Nell, would be impossible if Fran did not have the skill of second thinking. Donadrand admits defeat. Guild Master Klimt accepts Fran as a sword mage. Fran sells part of his loot after receiving a lot of money, causing envy among the closest mercenaries. Believing that the black cat can only be a thief and a liar, they start a fight with her, but Nell, who has decided that she likes Fran, protects her. And unable to bear how they insult the sight of black cats, Fran cuts off the legs of the main instigator, while beating the others. They insist on arresting Fran, but Nell and the adventurers of the guild agree that it was self-defense, and fine the attackers 100,000 gold, and Nell refusing to treat them until they pay. The master decides that they need a room to stay in armor for Fran. Meanwhile, Gallus, who has the highest level divine vision assessment skill, is fully aware that the master is a living, intelligent sword. Gurus invites Fran to his shop, explaining that he is the famous traveling blacksmith of Kransella. Other adventurers are jealous, as Gurus is known to be very picky about who he sells his gear to. After selling Fran the enchanted armor, Gurus asks about the master. But he worries that he's not as strong as the other swords, but Gurus reveals that what makes a master the most powerful is his ultra-high mana conductivity. The more magic Fran puts into him, the stronger he gets. Gurus admits that he is not skilled enough to forge a sword like a master, so only a divine blacksmith could forge it. Fran pays Gurus to make a scabbard for the master and other equipment for her. In their free time, Fran and the master buy more clothes, food. In the place where the goblins who ambushed Randall survived, they use magic to evolve into hobgoblins. In his first herb collecting mission, Fran rescues 3 adventurers, Lily, Kral and Eustace, by killing hobgoblins. Adventurers worry that the presence of hobgoblins means that the Goblin King has recently appeared in the dungeon, and if he finds the Goblin Queen, their offspring will form an army of hobgoblins that may even threaten the city of Alessa. Fran decides to destroy their nest alone, but the master is worried because Fran recklessly attacks, ignoring the injuries received. Fran kills all the goblins, saying that she must become stronger. The adventurers return with reinforcements, and they discover that the goblins have come out of the dungeon. Klimt organizes a party in honor of Fran's victory in the dungeon the next day, and Fran gets promoted. Gurus repairs her armor and says that the dungeon masters are endowed with the power of the goddess of chaos. Fran takes the master with him to the bathhouse, much to his surprise, but Nell reprimands her for taking a weapon with her. Nell explains that the goddess of chaos challenges the world, like the dungeon masters, to prevent stagnation. The god of war was evil and killed by other gods, but not before he created goblins and other monsters. Nell complains that August, the captain of the guard, refuses to send knights to help them and wants Amanda, the ace of the guild, to return from her journey. The next day, Gurus gives the master his finished scabbard, and Fran joins the group led by Donadrand. Goblins ambush them at the entrance to the dungeon and kill them all. Fran kills the goblins and enters the dungeon. Inside, the king gloats that with the demon he has just summoned, the Goblin Empire will become invincible. Fran and the teacher decide to kill and absorb crystals only from goblins with useful skills, and leave the rest to the others. They find the Goblin King and Queen, but to their surprise, they kill them with one attack. They realize that the dungeon is going deeper and deeper, and make their way through a swarm of giant beetles. They enter a secret door and find the dungeon master, a clever goblin who managed to summon a high-level great demon. The dungeon master boasts that he will take over the world with his servant, but the demon warns his summoner not to give him orders and attacks Fran. He is much stronger than any enemy he and the teacher have faced before, and cuts off Fran's hands, but the teacher quickly heals her. Meanwhile, the rest of the party can't get past the door to help her. The teacher asks Fran to back off, but she refuses and continues to fight the demon. The demon admits that Fran's sword skills are superior to his, and then uses his special skill-taking ability to steal her sword skills, bragging that she is doomed. The skill of taking does not work because the skills of swordsmanship were borrowed from the master. The king of the dungeon tries to help the demon, but he refuses his help. The master remembers that the dungeon cannot survive without the dungeon king, and tells Fran to direct his attacks at him, forcing the demon to protect him. Fran throws the monster at the dungeon master, but when the demon tries to catch him, he suddenly changes direction and instead impales the demon, killing him. Mastra's blade breaks in the process. Fran thinks he is dead before he discovers that he can restore himself thanks to the absorption of the demon crystal. They kill the dungeon master, causing the dungeon to disappear. Donadron scolds her for leaving alone and not waiting for them. The teacher calms her down by promising to make her a curry and tells her that he has gained the skill of taking and is using his new experience levels to increase the skill of taking and his sword skills. Klimt asks Fran what happened to the demon crystal, as it is very valuable. Fran hides the fact that her master absorbed him, and says that he just disappeared. Klimt believes her, but Augusta bursts into Klimt's office and insultingly calls her a liar. August, the vice-captain of Alessa's Knights, uses his lie skill to recognize Fran's lies. The master evaluates Augustus and discovers that he is abusing his abilities to falsely accuse commoners and charm his own. Augusta demands all the loot of the dungeon as a penalty for Fran lying to a nobleman, but Klimt refuses, since the loot belongs to the adventurers. The master uses the skill of taking to secretly steal Augustus' skills of lying and etiquette, leaving him with nothing, except as a liar. Fran is promoted to rank D and becomes popular among her guildmates. Fran discovers that her etiquette has made her more charming. The master dreams of his reincarnation, which includes 3 beautiful women. The master prepares Fran the curry that he promised, and other dishes that are stored in his spatial storage so that Fran can eat them in the future. Fran hears a rumor that August has disgraced himself in front of members of the royal family, angering his father Count Holmes. August appears Fran, balding and so dirty that Fran takes him for a zombie. He accuses Fran of cursing him, ruining his life, and hiring an assassin to kill her. The killer appears as a blue cat, a longtime enemy of black cats like Fran. In another place, a woman with pointed ears approaches Alessa. Fran says that it was the blue cats who constantly killed black cats and attacked them for centuries. The blue cat, Jurin, joyfully describes the torture and murder of black cats. Fran is afraid until the master reminds her that she is not alone. Fran cuts off Jurin's limbs and takes his sword, swearing that one day black cats will no longer be afraid of blue cats, then cuts off his head. She also thinks about killing August, but is stopped by Klimt, who has made a deal with August's father. In exchange for a large guild fee, August will be placed under house arrest forever. An elven woman, an adventurer of rank, Amanda, appears and instantly falls in love with Fran, declaring herself the new mother of Fran, whom Fran rejects. Amanda begins to follow Fran everywhere, until Fran complains to Nell, who reveals that Amanda actually runs an orphanage, earning the title of guardian of the children, despite the fact that she seems to be a terrible stalker. Klimt offers Fran 5 high-level monster crystals if she joins the adventurers exploring the spider monster's nest in an already defeated dungeon. Fran agrees, and will also get permission to explore another active dungeon near the village of Olmut. The wizard absorbs the crystals to level up again, but Fran gets discouraged when Amanda insists on joining the quest too. Fran learns that defeating the spiders is also a promotion exam for 2 E-rank teams, Dragon's Roar and Forest Eyes, who are being watched by examiners Cruz, Rig and Azel. Crad, leader of the Dragon Roar. Fran is accused of being Klimt's favorite, and he unfairly promotes her, and she is challenged to a duel to prove that she deserved her promotion, so she uses the blade flat to beat him. Intrigued, Amanda also asks for a duel, making a bet that Fran should call her mom if she loses. After a short, difficult fight, Fran is defeated, but not before she manages to land one blow on Amanda. Amanda is unharmed thanks to one of her defensive skills, but is impressed that Fran is the first one in many years who came close to hitting her. The master is proud of Fran's successes. Having lost consciousness, Fran dreams about his mother. When she wakes up, she agrees to call Amanda mom, but Amanda stops her, as it is obvious that Fran's mother holds a special place in her heart, but she vows to always support Fran. Using a lie, the master discovers that every promise of Amanda's maternal affection is sincere, and she really deserved her title of guardian of the children. Crad realizes that Fran is really as strong as everyone claims. The next morning, everyone prepares to enter the dungeon. A sinister character approaches the dungeon while the group enters it. Amanda says that in the past she lost several comrades in this dungeon, which forced her to take care of their orphan children. They fight booby traps, giant insects, and trapdoor spiders by collecting their valuable webs. Amanda gives Fran lessons in combat and magic, while noting how unusual it is that Fran can use 3 elements. Soon, Fran and the master master the magic of thunder. Fran thanks Amanda by sharing a curry that no one has heard of, but which she finds very tasty. In the depths of the dungeon, the trapdoor spiders turned into cunning spiders with more deadly venom, greater strength and speed. The group retreats, but 2 of Crad's friends, Bart and Victor, stumble upon Fran, and they step on the teleport circle. They teleport away without their weapons, including the wizard, and land in front of the ultimate evolved trickster spider form. When Amanda picks up the master and they search for them, the master is unable to contact Fran via telepathy, while Fran panics and asks what she can do without the master. The trickster spider, who has the upper body of a woman, plays with Fran, Bart and Victor, setting booby traps under them. The group splits up to find them, while Amanda goes alone. With few options, the master tells everything he can talk and move to Amanda, and summons the Onyx Wolf as a familiar to try to find Fran. The wolf goes berserk because of an overabundance of mana, and Amanda says that familiars need to be named, and because of an overabundance of mana it hurts him. The master calls him Yarushi, and he calms down, turns into a much larger Oni wolf and follows the scent of Fran. Fran, Bart and Victor are incapacitated by a poisonous spider web, and the trickster spider sends her spiders to devour them. Fran again imagines herself a helpless slave, but the vision of the master inspires her to stand up and fight back with her bare hands. The Master, Yarushi and Amanda arrive and destroy the trickster spider, which retreats, and then heal Fran. Fran is happy to meet Yarushi, and they share the secrets of the teacher with Amanda, who is amazed. They heal Bart and Victor, who have lost consciousness and do not know about the Master, and go to the meeting place, but there is no one else there. The trickster spider heals its wounds and screams what they heard, then they see a large white bird appear in a flash of light. The bird was Tarawa, the familiar of a group member who leads them to the others trapped by the trickster spider and her children. When they rescue them, Fran takes on the trickster spider. Amanda remembers how she adopted black kittens named Keenan and Flamia, but refused to teach them to fight because she didn't want them to get hurt, which led to unpleasant consequences when they tried to become adventurers anyway and were killed. Determined not to let Fran die, she destroys the trickster spider, but angers Fran by destroying his crystal as well. After clearing the dungeon, Klimt gives Fran permission to go to Ulmut, and she gets promoted. Gurus gives Fran a new armor. The Master is outraged that the new armor exposes her tummy, but he shows that she protects her with a force field. Gurus says that he is also going to Ulmut soon, but by a different route. When the guild says goodbye to Fran, she finally calls Amanda Mom, making her realize that Fran is the daughter of Keenan and Flamia. Klimt discusses with his nephew, the owner of Tarawa, how August's father hired someone to give the spiders evolutionary potions. Tarawa believes that Fran has a good character and is not a spy, despite her unusual strength. Fran travels through the sky on the Master. As her and the Master sleeps from the sky, they came face to face with the necromancer Jean Du Vix.